both were dungeon flamed with light. My chains fell off, my heart was free. I rose, went forth, and followed thee. Amazing grace, how happy me that thou, God, shouldst die for me. No condemnation now I dread. Jesus and only Him is mine. Alive in Him, my living head, and clothed in righteousness divine. Bold I approach the eternal throne, and claim the crown to Christ my own. Amazing love, how can it be that thou, my God, shouldst die for me?
Hey Springs Grace, my name's Tim Condi, and I get to do a little devotional this morning. I wanted to give credit to Sinclair Ferguson. It's a Bible study that some of us guys are doing Thursday mornings, and this is drawn from him. He brought it up and it really touched my heart, and so I wanted to share it with you guys. So I'll be reading from a psalm and from Ephesians. It's kind of a comparison of a psalm and then a modern day Pauline psalm, you could call it. So I'll start here in Psalm 130, and I'll go forward to Ephesians 2. I wanted to title this "But God," and you'll see. So in Psalm 130, I'll start with verses 1 through 3. It's a song of ascent. Out of the depths I cry to you, O Lord. O Lord, hear my voice. Let your ears be attentive to the voice of my pleas for mercy. If you, O Lord, should mark iniquities, O Lord, who could stand? So first off, we see the psalmist crying out to God. And a lot of the psalms cry out for help from physical things. Some cry out for help from spiritual depravity, the recognition of our lostness. And this one, it seems, is crying out for mercy from God, because he says, if the Lord should mark iniquities, O Lord, who could stand? So when he says, let your ears be attentive to the voice of my pleas for mercy, he's calling for mercy from God. He's recognizing his own depths of despair and his failings. So compare that to Ephesians 2, well-known passage. We'll read from 1 through 3. And you were dead in the trespasses and sins in which you once walked, following the course of this world, following the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that is now at work in the sons of disobedience, among whom we all once lived in the passions of our flesh, carrying out the desires of the body and the mind, and were by nature children of wrath, like the rest of mankind. So we were dead in our trespasses and sins. We were walking in the course of this world. We were following the prince of the air. We were sons of disobedience. We were living out the passions of our flesh. And we were children of wrath, like the rest of mankind. So this is what the psalmist is remembering. He's seeing in himself, out of the depths, I cry for you, O Lord. O Lord, hear my voice. Let your ear be attentive to the voice of my pleas for mercy from God. So the question stands, if you, O Lord, should mark iniquities, O Lord, who could stand? And let's read the rest of the psalm, which gives us hope. But God. But with you there is forgiveness, that you may be feared. I wait for the Lord, my soul waits, and in his word I hope. My soul waits for the Lord more than watchmen for the morning, more than watchmen for the morning. O Israel, hope in the Lord. For with the Lord there is steadfast love, and with him is plentiful redemption, and he will redeem Israel from all his iniquities. And you could insert, O Tim, O springs of grace, hope in the Lord. That's what we're to do. With the Lord there is steadfast love, and with him is plentiful redemption, and he will redeem us from all our iniquities. So we see Paul's echoing of this same sentiment, but God being rich in mercy, because of the great love with which he loved us, even when we were dead in our trespasses, made us alive together with Christ. By grace you have been saved, and raised us up with him, and seated us with him in the heavenly places in Christ Jesus, so that in the coming ages he might show the immeasurable riches of his grace in kindness towards us in Christ Jesus. So there we have the but God, but with you there is forgiveness. We are hopeless. We're dead in our works, we were living out our passions, and as St. Sinclair Ferguson describes it, this is where Paul turns to we. He includes himself, even though elsewhere he says how awesome he was, and if anyone were to make it on works, I had merit. But he includes himself here as we were living in the passions of our flesh. His flesh gave him pride. His flesh made him think he had it. And so we could tell this, we did, but God. We did nothing. We did nothing to deserve. We did nothing to merit. We did nothing to earn. But we cried out to the Lord. Out of the depths I cry to you, O Lord. I hope, I wait, I watch. And in the Lord, but with you there is forgiveness, that you may be feared. I wait for the Lord, my soul waits. So Springs of Grace, that's what I think we are called to do. We're called to cry out to God, to remember that that he is sovereign. I love how Sinclair Ferguson brings up that often the psalmist cries out to God for help, and the answer is, but God is enthroned on high. It doesn't say anything about, but God swooped in and saved me. It says, but God is enthroned on high. It's like Stephen being stoned. He looked up and saw Jesus sitting at the right hand of the Father, and he died. He died from the stones. But he died, his face shining, and recognizing that Christ is enthroned on high. And we don't deserve any of it, but God loved and cared and sought us out of the depths and pulled us out when we were in the mire. And so that's my encouragement for us this morning, that we're not to be doing, we're not to be striving, but we're supposed to wait and cry and hope in our Father.